seen so many teams do incredibly well when they get this super top-of-the-line AD carry. Fnatic with Pushy, with Challenger solo queue AD carry, kind of sparked a big set of wins from them. NIP picking up Freeze. He's done so well in almost every game we've seen there. Getting a top AD carry. In general, we consider Europe like the homeland of the best mid laners, where you've got so many just so many stars there in the mid lane, but top AD carries can carry just as hard, and we're seeing that with a team like Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, we're into Champion Select then, so let's have a look through the bans. They're coming in thick and fast here. Lee Sin, Nunu, and Thresh taken out here for ESC. On the other side, Elise, Lissandra, and Jarvan, the bans for Copenhagen Wolves.
This does give a couple of high priority targets still available. Twisted Fate is up in here, which is one that we see very, very often. Shen as well, one of those great sort of a good first pick, global teleport, great split pusher, has no really rough matchups in general. You're okay picking Shen into pretty much anything. So that is, of course, the pickup here for ESC. It gives them a lot of options here for the rest of their lineup. They can play a good 4-man squad that can just sit there and play 4v4s. They've already got a tank and an initiator, so the whole team is set open for them.
Well, we are seeing Copenhagen Wolves lock in that Twisted Fate that, as you mentioned, did manage to squeeze through. Plus the Evelyn here. I'm going to probably most likely say here with Shook in the jungle.
And this is so scary now. Copenhagen Wolves have the ability to crush any lane they want as soon as TF hits 6. It's really hard to ward against Evelyn because she's invisible, of course. Investing in a lot of pink wards makes you run out of money, and especially when you've got TF on the other team, not only does his team get richer, but then your team gets poorer for buying pink wards. It's not a pretty sight, so it's hard to stop the Evelyn, and then you just show up with the Twisted Fate ultimate as well, and any lane that Copenhagen Wolves wants, they can have and snowball it.
Yeah, it turns very quickly from a 1v1 to a 1 versus 3, and well, bad times if you're the one in that situation. Right now it looks like we're going to be seeing a Zac coming here for ESC along with that Zyra. We're guessing here for support. I mean, obviously we have seen Zyra in that mid lane, but support is usually where we see her.
It's the likely scenario, but of course, because they haven't shown a true mid laner yet, you always have to keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Zyra does a pretty good job of fighting in lane and can deal with TF a fair bit. And so what you've got here is now more hardcore engaged. The Zac can start the fight, the Shen can follow up. By that point, Zyra's Stranglethorns are definitely going to land right here, and of course has her own crowd control with Grasping Roots. So as long as they've got some damage now to follow up with these champions like a Misfortune, or if they do pick up a mid laner, someone with strong AoE, you could even go Orianna, something like that. You've got huge damage output and good lockdown.
Well, we see Malphite coming in there with the Nami as well. And funny they're leaving the AD carries till the final round of picks here, you know. We usually see that happen when it comes to, to the mid lane picks here, but Reckless on the team is like, I want to pick my favorite AD carry against theirs.
And it's a fun way of picking it because once you know what threats there are both in lane and in a team fight, you can get away with the most aggressive AD carry possible, or the most carry AD carry possible, really, right? You don't want to blind pick Vayne because they pick Ryze and you're just sad immediately. But so the picks have come here, of course, for these guys. It's going to be the Ryze and the Ezreal. And the Ezreal, again, I like because, like Misfortune, can press R, throw the area of effect down the wave of the team fight, and soften up everybody. And Ryze, because there's all this lockdown, is another high damage mid laner who can... He doesn't AoE damage as much. He's not one of these big AoE burst champions, but when everyone's locked down, Exile's going to have a really good time of dropping people out and picking up kills. Yeah,
and we saw Tristan in the final pick here for Copenhagen Wolves, another big favorite here of Reckless as well. We saw him playing at Gfinity. I don't think he actually died in the game that I saw him playing the Tristana with as well. And I think he only died about 4 times throughout the entire event anyway, so that was a pretty rare occurrence. And so we got the 2 teams in here. Freak, who are you fancying for this matchup?
Well, the early game aggression is still definitely here for Copenhagen Wolves. Now, Shen will hit 6 about the same time as Twisted Fate, so you do have the chance to counter-gank those TF ganks, but TF Evelyn is still so scary. The cooldown on Destiny is a little bit shorter than Stand United as well, and Evelyn can, of course, keep showing up. So I think they can desync the Shen and TF ultimates, and Wolves can make a lot of moves in the early mid-game. And then, of course, you have a Tristana, who is one of the... I think she was basically if you count safety and damage as 2 strong traits, has the highest of those 2 values combined. You know, maybe Kog'Maw has more damage, but she is safer and does more damage, you know, on the aggregate. So Reckless is going to have a very easy time of carrying this game. The early mid-game ganks will come through, and then Reckless can be the late-game savior here if nothing bad happens to him. However, if the Shen ganks do happen, they get Tristana down, there's not a lot of late-game saving grace here for Copenhagen Wolves outside of Trist.
And it's great to see as well there. You see ESC Icy Box on your screen. I mean, outside of Prathana, these are names that aren't very well known to most viewers. I mean, this is a team that's come through, you know, the likes of the German EPS doing really, really well there, and that's really a great thing to see, you know. It's not the same faces that we're seeing doing well every single time when it comes to these challenger tournaments, and they are obviously the underdogs coming into this one. There's no doubt about that one. Copenhagen Wolves have proven time and time again with Reckless in there. I mean, if you just look through their lineup, the likes of Kautard, got LCS experience, Youngbuck, who, now he's been around so many teams and had so much experience as well, that now this is going to be a very tough game for ESC, but they've got this far. They could do it again.
They definitely can. This is a team that's got, because they've been together, they're going to have the smarts to play through the matches overall. They're going to be able to know how to play the mid game, how to play the late game. That's really the hallmark of a good team, is if they know how to snowball an early game advantage. And they've got the champions to do that. They've got hardcore engage, they've got good dive, they've got good durability on the lineup. So if they get an early lead, they can push it through while they're, you know, right in the middle of that mid-game lull for Tristana, break through all the ganks, and crush a game. It's possible, absolutely.
So here we go then, in-game ESC versus Copenhagen Wolves. Game one, of course, this is a best of 3. So either team needing 2 victories to go through into that grand final, where, of course, TCM are waiting after their 2-0 win yesterday against the Playing Ducks. So how is this one all going to go down at level 1? We can see there that ESC hanging back here on that corner brush. Copenhagen Wolves themselves are up by their red buff currently.
Well, both teams have incredibly good level 1s. You've got the gold card, you've got the Evelyn scouting a little bit, the Nami bubble as well. And on the other side, Zach can start E, Rise can get the rune prison, you've got the grasping roots from Zyra, you've got the shadow dash from Shen. So if either team gets caught, they explode. And in matches like this, right, LCS is the best of 1, but you've got a full season to play. This is an incredibly important semifinal, best of 3. You don't want to risk losing the game at level 1 and throwing away like a 3-0 team fight. And I expect to see these teams play a little bit more safely, especially in the game 1. If I was going to see it change, it would be the team that loses game 1, comes into game 2, says we got to make something happen.
Yeah, go a little bit more risky once you fall behind that. Big risk, big reward.
Yep.
That kind of feeling. So, Copenhagen Wolves here then, going to be starting off by the red buff with Shook, and we can see that on the other side here for ESC, they're going to be starting off with their blue buff with the Hefty Schlum.
And so right now it's going to be, you know, I feel like invades aren't likely to happen here. Neither one jungles all that quickly and has the ability to steal stuff away. And they don't have great tools, they get caught out overall. So I expect them to get their buffs completely safely right here. We're seeing a standard 2-on-2 lane as well that I feel like it's pretty much up to Nami to keep this lane alive, because the harass potential from Zyra Ezreal is quite high.
And of course, that rocket jump of Reckless will probably be instrumental for him here if he does, you know, get in those grasping roots. He's obviously got a bit of time before he can actually get straight out of them. Got that bubble as well to keep him safe coming out from Nami. And then we just saw Zach doing his red buff, and we've already got Evelyn headed towards, I was going to say that bottom lane did start to come down, but they've spotted that a pink ward was put down in that bottom lane.
But they want to gank the bottom lane very, very soon because of those pink wards there. Reckless getting pretty low. The Ignite already brought up a thought of the bubble's going to land.
Oh, he's going to get bubbled up. There is a barrier using. Jumps Reckless. First blood for Copenhagen Wolves. This could be a double as well. 6 going low. Reckless himself is low, but he pops a barrier. Jumps away. Oh, the passive came out there. Reckless did die, though, in the end, but he got a double kill.
And that's the thing with Barrier versus Ignite, is Barrier only lasts for 2 seconds. Ignite ticks 5 times, and he got low enough. He barriered late, ultimately, and then it timed out, and Ignite was like, all right, I got 2 ticks left, no big deal, and the kill did come out. But early double kill to Tristana, joining the lane now with Berserker's Greaves, a little bit of extra movement speed to dodge some of the skill shots, and just in general the attack speed to win trades. There goes the early game chance right here for ESC, I feel.
Yeah, that is not a good sign for ESC Icy Box, but now we're only 3 minutes 45 into this one. We see that pink wards being put down by Unlimited just to clear out the pink ward that was put there earlier from ESC to open up that map to Evelyn.
And that was such an option, though. It was, if that bubble didn't land, it would have been a great lane for ESC. They put the pink ward down to not allow them to spot out whether Zach was coming down or not. It also would have seen if Evelyn was coming to counter gank, but of course it didn't happen, and now Shook is getting rain over the jungle right here.
Yep, moving through towards the Wolf camp right now of ESC. Zach himself is down doing his raids currently. We did see Youngbuck going very, very low in that top lane. Having a little bit of trouble here against the Shen early on.
And that's going to be a little bit tricky, because basically if Shen has a really good early game, he's going to be the kind of the guy in isolation that has to turn things around, but it might be a catch.
Here we go, Evelyn coming in. There's a stun card going down. Wild cards are in as well. There was the ignite. Shook takes another hit from the turret, but he's got enough to stay alive. They walk away, and Copenhagen Wolves pick up another kill.
And because Ryze went teleport and not ignite or barrier or cleanse, not a combat summoner spell at all, he took a little bit too much damage and did not have the counterattack there. Did a very good job of rune prising Evelyn inside of turret range, but unfortunately didn't have enough follow-up damage. Any other summoner spell and he could have turned that into a kill.
That's that danger we say often in the LCS, of course, with the likes of Charu, who constantly runs that teleport. Peke himself has started to do that a lot more as well. This bottom lane Reckless actually getting caught there with the grasping roots, but he's not too worried about this one at this point.
He's not so far. He's ahead. He's got a good amount of sustain in general. We'll look at his runes real quick. 5% lifesteal, so actually, I'm guessing that's actually 9 points utility and 2 lifesteal quints right there, and using that to hold on to his lane. 5% should be enough to pretty much hold on to the lane, no big deal, and as we've seen so far, he's holding up to a minion lead. What's going to be interesting, though, is once these solo laners, I feel like that's going to get away from this one.
Yeah, he's a level above Shook right now, and the problem is trying to lock him down as Ryze comes down and says, you better get away from me, otherwise we're going to turn on you. Shook down, and that's the annoyance with Evelyn. You can keep coming in and out. He's got wards down on that side as well, so he's going to be a constant threat, not only to Zac himself, but really to that entire jungle, because he will steal it away, as we're seeing now.
He's doing a very, very good job of that one, which is risky because he has low escape tools against these champions, but with the bottom lane continually pressuring, Prothana and 6 can't help. Twisted Fate, Cowtard is pushing and dominating his lane right now, up 11 minions, so there's no help for the Hefty Smurf to come down and stop Evelyn. I mean, even though, ironically, she's the blue one in the jungle and the Smurf is not, she's the one dominating that location. But what's going to be interesting is now that Shen has hit 6, now that Twisted Fate has hit 6, and both summoner teleports are up, the game gets crazy with counter ganks.
Well, let's have a look for this one. Youngbuck, despite being forced out of lane early on, actually has a decent CS lead over Steve in this top lane. I can see they're putting down constant pressure. I mean, Shen shouldn't be too worried about that at this stage, but always got to be a little bit careful here that Ryze doesn't get involved with that teleport on the top side as well. Bottom lane, Reckless currently, building up almost a 10 CS lead already. After that double kill, it's kind of, expected from that.
The one thing that's funny about this, though, is you can theoretically have a misleading minion kill lead when you face a Zyra, because, yes, they're worth 5 gold, but they do count towards your minion kill total. But here comes the gank in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Twisted Fate coming down from this one. Stun card will be pulled, but Hefty Slump is there. We're going to see the teleport coming down here as well from Exilate. Are they going to get away? Cowtard going very low. There is Shook in the backside. He is going to do a lot of damage to 6, but he goes down to Prothana, and that is 2 kills. A brilliant turnaround from ESC.
And there's the counter gank that you cared about. And the funny thing is, though, is Youngbuck decided to use his ultimate to stop the Shen teleport. Instead of just showing up himself, he burned the unstoppable force. And the thing is, you still get the shield from Shen. He's still got the shield out there to keep one of his teammates alive. I feel like if Youngbuck had just decided to join the fight, he could have turned that around with unstoppable force.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, but these guys, a whole split-second decision, of do I stop Shen or do I go in there? Didn't seem to be the correct choice maybe this time around, and that brings things back to a level when we look at the kill score. Obviously, Twisted Fate coming down there, good reactions coming out of Exilate there on Ryze to get in, and Shook did his best to take down Zyra underneath that turret, but didn't quite have the damage, so Rune Prison proving a little bit too much to him there.
A little bit too much indeed. These guys have so much damage up, and Shook's going to get caught here.
Yeah, he's going to get surely Rune Prison up from this one. Shen chasing him down. There is the Rune Prison, and Steve will finish off the kill. So those kills spreading nicely here amongst the ESC team. Out of the 5 of them, 4 of them have a kill now.
And the one unfortunate thing about Evelyn going down there was she should have been able to outrun Ryze. She didn't realize that Shen had actually already used his Shadow Dash to come down into the river and was trying to juke that. And by trying to juke Shadow Dash, got into range of Rune Prison. Ironically, probably could have just run straight forward and gotten away, but didn't know that she wasn't juking anything.
There is Cowtard, who died in that last engagement. Did pick up an assist earlier on, going for the Cage's lucky pick in there with a Doran's Ring, Crystalline Flask, and the Boots of Speed. So far, Ryze, no real surprises, got a Mana Crystal plus that tier already stacking up.
So this is really the big section now for Ryze in this game. Okay, his teleport's down, he won't be able to show up to these fights for a while, but he's got this big power boost. Tier's going to start stacking, he's going to be better at 1v1ing against Twisted Fate in general, and should have I would say similar gank follow-up tools. I think both jungles can have an equal impact on the mid lane. The problem, though, is that because his Zac jungle is level 7, whereas the Evelynn jungle on the other side is only level 5, there's a huge lead right here where Exile is going to be totally safe against Cowtard and probably bully him around.
Yeah, could be dangerous for him in that one. We did see Evelynn just hit level 6 a matter of seconds ago. I think the second that you said level 5. Dink, 6.
Dink. All right,
that's where he went. But we've got the Dragon here. We saw earlier on Unlimited actually putting that pink ward down to clear out the vision, and they are going to be going for this one. They've got 4 men around there. Twisted Fate's going to join in as well, and I think ESC going to be hard-pressed to actually challenge for this.
I think they're not quite in position, although the Zac can jump over and go for a smite steal.
Oh, he's going to get it there, and he does manage to get it as well. Shook getting caught up in there as well as Reckless going to jump in. Exilate is going to go down. Reckless picks up that kill. Copenhagen Wolves lose the Dragon. They get 1 kill for it, and I think they'll be decently happy with that one there, ESC.
And Youngbuck made a good move there. He actually had saved his teleport from the beginning. Instead of showing up to that fight, instead decided, look, we know Shen's ult is still on cooldown. If I come to the bottom lane, we have a 5-on-4 and would have control over Dragon. The steal notwithstanding, he then got to teleport to the top lane, but here comes another engage.
Yeah, again, Empty Slump coming in once again. We're going to see Shen getting involved. They've managed to lock down Reckless. Unlimited will fall in there as well. Twisted Fate did get the kill on towards that turret, but that's 2 kills for nothing for ESC.
And they might get the turret back here as well. They've got another wave coming up soon. Zyra can spawn some plans to take this turret. And they've got 4 guys here to take this turret down.
Yeah, that one not going to be lasting very long. And Hefty Slump not only managing to steal that Dragon, but really getting things started for that one. Another kill coming down onto Reckless, who obviously started off this game perfectly, getting first blood with a double kill. So they've managed to turn this one around nicely. They've now got a 500 gold lead.
And that is a set of amazing plays right here by ESC Icybox. Now, guys, if you're watching this game, tell your friends because, again, this is the LCS qualifier tournament, basically. And the thing is, by watching these guys play so far, it looks like teams that are really good hopefuls for that. These guys are playing incredibly good League of Legends. They're incredibly strong players, making really good decisions. And if you want to get a first look at some of the Season 4 teams, it's right here. These guys are awesome. Tell your friends, watch the games. These are the next season's pros.
A little bit of a way to go for that one, but you're certainly right. I mean,
they're good enough, though.
They are good enough. There's no doubt about that one. I mean, some of the players that we've seen already in this first game here, and obviously yesterday where TCM managed to pick up the victory over playing Ducks, just shows you how rich the talent is here. Not just in Europe, but around the world generally when it comes towards the challenger teams. In this top lane, Steve versus Youngbuck. Youngbuck has got a good CS lead now, up 20 CS over his opponent, and that's with Steve forcing Youngbuck out of the lane very early on, almost even getting a kill.
And that's an impressive play by Youngbuck. He rushed an early Chalice of Harmony, which gives him enough magic dust to withstand most of Shen's harass. He made sure he kept putting his passive shield back up between waves. Watch, he'll sit towards the background, wait for that to stack back up, and then say, look, Steve, you try to harass me, it's going to take you a good long time. Well, he has enough mana to go for this fight here.
Twisted Fate coming in here on towards Steve, but he's already Shadow Dash quite far away. There goes Youngbuck, max range on the Unstoppable Force. They've got the damage here to get things going as another stun comes in. Steve managing to stay alive for a little while here. Youngbuck does get the kill, gets ignited, takes a couple of turret hits as well, but it's not enough for the kill, and that's a nice one from Youngbuck. That's going to help him go even further on that lane.
And that was good coordination by Copenhagen Wolves, coordinating and saying, look, Steve does not have his flash. He used it in that last team fight mid lane to kill Reckless. When a solo laner's flash is down, that is basically your only chance to really kill them. And he said, we have both our ults. Once he burns Shadow Dash, we cannot miss an ability. We'll get the kill. Go for it. Trust me, I got this.
That's Hefty Slump just covering off on this top lane, making sure that turret doesn't go too low. Even to the minions, they want to make sure that Steve's got enough time to be catching things up there. You can see that Youngbuck now adding to that Chalice that he picked up earlier with the Boots of Speed and now the Sunfire Cape.
So now comes the interesting part, because split pushing is going to be so quick for these guys. Both of these guys now have Sunfire Capes, which means these minions will fall down to them really quickly. Normally Shen doesn't kill minions all that fast. Sunfire really helps kind of bridge that gap, whereas Malphite just pretty much one-shots minion waves at this point. So if either laner leaves his lane, which you will see from Summoner Teleport or from Stand United, the counter push there will almost guarantee a turret. But Reckless gets caught.
Getting caught in this one. Stranglethorn's going to go down. There's a disengage coming out of the tidal wave. And wow, we saw the Ezreal ultimate coming in there, almost catching Reckless. That might have been enough to actually finish him off there.
It was definitely close. Reckless using the knockback to try to push his opponents out of range and lower the chance of the counterattacks actually landing and just barely getting away. At this point, though, he can sustain back up. He's got the Vamp Scepter. He's got a Nami for a teammate. The Nami actually, 2 points in the heal. Actually is maxing Tidecaller's Blessing, the damage on attack E first. But the sustain is enough that the Tristana can keep farming, and you're seeing that. He's got a pretty big, 20 minion kill lead at this point, and that is where the late game hopes lie for Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, this Tristana definitely going to be a threat. And in the hands of Reckless, you know, he gets a lot of praise. Fnatic have pretty much already signed him up as well for later on in the season. Of course, they said when they brought in Pushu that it's basically a stopgap for now until Reckless hits the magical age of 17 and is able to come into the team.
Yeah, he's even wearing the jersey right now. It's funny, it's like, hey, Wolves jersey, Wolves jersey, Wolves jersey, Fnatic jersey, Wolves jersey. It's just funny. I don't know. To me, you stick him out. He's obvious to point out right there. And of course, you know, again, their hopes lie on him, but the rest of the team has been doing a pretty good job so far. Again, it's the early gank pressure that is here from the Evelynn Twisted Fate. And with the TF ult coming up in just about 5 seconds right here, you're going to see them probably look for another move and another lane to kill.
Yeah, Chuck actually has been a little bit quiet in the last few minutes. Obviously, did die a couple of times, was unsuccessful in getting that kill onto Zyra at the bottom lane. And from that, actually decided to do a little bit more farming. He's a little bit behind Zach on that terms, but you know, Zach already at 2-0-1. Hefty Schlumpf doing a great job of that, as we are going to see Hefty Schlumpf coming in. There is a Rise teleport coming down as well. Reckless actually going to flash away from this one right now, but they managed to catch Unlimited. He will flash back. Now Twisted Fate going to get involved. Who are they going to go for from this? There's a 5-man team down there from ESC. This is dangerous as Youngbuck will be finished off by Prothana, but there is Chuck from the back. 1 kill coming down. Can they get any more from this one? Reckless going pretty low as the Stranglethorns come in. Double kill for Prothana, and look how low the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves got.
Incredibly well played team fight there by the ESC Icy Box, and that is kind of the weakness of Twisted Fate, really. It's what I can kind of attribute it to, is how much more powerful Rise is in these dedicated actual engagements. Normally TF is so good because he can just show up and make fights happen, and you outnumber the opponents, but he only has 2 active offensive abilities. His ultimate does no damage, whereas Rise pops his ult and deals AoE splash damage to everything, heals himself, runs faster, and kind of catches you with rune prisons. And when you run that teleport Rise, yeah, okay, it made him fail that counter gank early on where he got killed, but when he can show up and counteract the TF ult, not even Ignite bridges the gap between Rise's damage output and Twisted Fate's.
ESC looking very good from this. Look at the gold days. Just 100 difference right now. Counter here in that mid lane could be in a little bit of trouble as 6 does come across. They manage to land the grasping roots onto him. There's Prothana stealing it away with a true shot barrage, and now they turn on towards Youngbuck as well. He's not going to escape that one. Steve picks up the kill. Beautiful play there, ESC finding the catches, and again the Rise ultimate putting it down for the movement speed to land a rune prison, and the follow-up is so good. 4 of the 5 members of ESC have a dedicated crowd control that will lock you in place, prevent you from running away, and then Ezreal can at least hedge his bets with the Blade of the Ruined King to slow you down. So if they catch someone, ESC will murder that person. And they have murdered that inner turret as well here. Nothing that Copenhagen Wolves could do to stop that one. Reckless just trying to get something back from that scenario and pick up that bottom outer turret. But look at this, the rest of ESC coming down. Dragon is of course available, and that's the next target here for ESC. And that was really smart by them, because Dragon has been up for more than a minute at this point. And they said, look, we got the kill, we could go Dragon, but we know we get the middle turret first and then just retreat back. They knew they'd have the health bars for it and the time to do it. So that is again a measure of a very strong team who knows what advantages they can take when they win a fight. Rise got that Rod of Ages in there now as well. 7 assists so far for him, and not been able to quite pick up any kills as of now, but Prothana on Ezreal doing a good job of securing those as well. That true shot barrage earlier on, I might argue, wasn't needed in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, the AD carry those kills, and well, he's obviously got to caught up to that challenge later on, as we are going to see them going in on towards Chuck. There comes a tidal wave. Steve pretty tanky, but he's taking a lot of damage. Will flash away as the Stranglethorns come down. Steve does go down in the end. Shook actually coming around. They pick down Prathana. Reckless now chasing down. Couldn't quite get in on towards Zyra. You see Zach there on the backside. Is Twisted Fate going to go down? Six is not escaping this. Reckless picks up another one.
Great job, right? Oh, the passive kill on a Shook. And I was just going to commend the Evelyn ultimate there, giving him the tankiness. Shook took most of the damage there. The Shen taunt landed on him, but Evelyn, one thing she is really good at is turning around fights. Giant area of effect, slow, percent current health damage, which means if you're getting dived by a full health team, it does even more damage there. And then gets a shield based on the number of targets hit. So Shook tanked out so much of that damage, kited away, and then you're fighting wolves under the turret where you just wasted all your damage on someone not dying. It's an easy fight to turn around. Very well played by them.
A very close game, and look how that gold has swung around once again. ESC were in the lead. Now it's the Copenhagen Wolves who picked that one up. It's only around a 700 gold difference. That's going to change here in a second as Youngblood will finish off the final outer turret, though, for the Copenhagen Wolves.
And unfortunately, Shen's ultimate was either not available or not used right there by Steve. And even still, he was, he was actually in the bottom lane making that fight, and that's what happens, right? You leave your lane, it allows the split pusher on the other side to take that down. It was such a nice move, too, because Youngblood was up there, did not have teleport available. They knew they could force a sort of 5 versus 4, more members of the team engagement. Unfortunately, couldn't get the fight. Couldn't get the win there, and of course Youngblood being able to split push takes a turret for it as well. So many good advantages for the Wolves.
So what's next here? We see there the Oracle running on 6 as he must make sure that there's no wards down by the Copenhagen Wolves on Baron. From the position, oh, that was really close there, going in on towards that blue buff. Coutard, though, thank his lucky stars for that one. He manages to pick that one up in the end with just a little bit of health left after the True Shot Barrage.
And the other thing I want to point out actually about the Copenhagen Wolves lineup is note the item builds here, because Shook is going to build some more Magic Pen. He's going to be a pseudo carry here on Evelyn to deal more damage, as she's obviously a damage-based champion. So building auras actually fills onto Youngbuck. He's already built the Aegis here. He's going to split push a fair bit, but in terms of actual team fights, he'll want to show up. So it's okay to put the Aegis on him. He'll be there for the team fights. He'll likely go up all the way to Runic Bulwark as well, being that he's fighting Zac, Ryze, Zyra, and Shen, all of whom will deal magic damage. And as long as Youngbuck is there in the fight, the team will be tanky enough to withstand these engagements.
So let's have a look down quickly at the AD carries here. We saw Reckless kind of half going in towards that Blade of the Ruin King and picked up an early BF sword as well. And now got that Infinity Edge finish. On the other side, of course, the Blade of the Ruin King done for quite a while here for Prathana. He's now got the workings of an Infinity Edge himself in there.
It's an interesting build here from Reckless because, generally speaking, Infinity Edge into Phantom Dancer will deal more single-target damage than Infinity Edge into Blade of the Ruin King. However, Ruin King gives you more kiting potential, lets you run away from a Shen, run away from a Zac, and, thing is, he has some knockback tools, he has a bunch of ways to get away from people, but ultimately, if you Ruin King a Zac mid-ultimate, you'll get a lot of movement speed out of it. You can kite back and never get hit by that, and that's really valuable for Tristana.
See here, Shook just hanging around in that mid lane. Let's see if he actually tries to get in on Exilate, on that Ryze, who himself has just backed off there. I think having a bit of a, that spidey senses tingling. Eve is possibly around here somewhere. And speaking of the jungles, Hefty Schlumpf is down in that bottom lane as well. They're trying to catch in on towards Reckless Unlimited.
And here's what's scary about this game as well, is they're lurking in the shadows trying to find ganks that's absolutely right. And they're like, is there a jungler nearby? Is there someone around here? I've got an Oracles, maybe I can see them. But all the teleports and all the global ultimates are up. Shen, Ryze, Malphite, Twisted Fate, keep looking at those every few minutes to see if they're up, because that determines how this game is going to go. And they're going to know all these cooldowns are available. And so any fight you start, you're going to add 2 members to either team potentially onto that engage. You've got to be ready to face 5 people, not 3, to face 4 people, not 2, 3 people, not 1.
And Shook just taking his red buff, and those wards cleared in the bottom lane allowed Hefty Schlumpf to actually get in on towards that bottom brush, but in the end Copenhagen Wolves backing completely away from that one. This could open up a tower opportunity for ESC.
It's so crazy that they are just completely backed off, but ESC aren't pushing for it, and I'm not entirely sure why they've gotten the ability to do that. Certainly TF is in the shadows, so is... Actually, I guess it's why. It's because the entire team from Copenhagen Wolves are in the shadows, and they would just be able to show up on top of you. The Malphite ult just appears, and then suddenly you're in the air, Evelyn follows up, Twisted Fate follows up, and you can drop immediately. And so again, those teleports being up make these teams so afraid to start things.
And we can see the Twisted Fate build got plenty of protection in as well from that Twin Shadows and of course the Zhonya's as well, which is something that he's going to be doing, you know, teleporting in there to the back, pop the Zhonya's to avoid all that damage coming down.
It's an interesting style difference here between the Twisted Fates because we see a lot of different builds. We've seen Deathcap into Void Staff, we've seen Lichbane Rush, or we've seen hyper-defensive ones such as Zhonya's into the Twin Shadows, and this gives him the resistances to survive Rise okay in a battle in general. It also lets him ult away things like Zac jumps or Shen dashes, or sorry, Zhonya's away from them and try to survive burst. So he's there to provide a stun for his team and say, look, seriously, Reckless, you're the damage output here. I'm just here to stun people.
There's a pink ward cleared out by Unlimited. They did manage to get the ward in there because Copenhagen Wolves a little bit scared of getting caught out of position there by that Zac, who, before you know it, is on top of you and bouncing around. But currently, Copenhagen Wolves looking like they want to certainly not let this dragon go. That's the big part of things here. Even if they're not feeling so safe in actually doing it themselves at this point, they want to make sure it doesn't get away, as we do see the Twin Shadows coming out there. Kaltard actually did pull the stone card. Shen going to get involved here, and they may go for things as Reckless jumps in towards 6, not getting away from that one, as Prathana going to throw out the True Shot Barrage. There's the ultimate out of Twisted Fate. Bubble comes down on towards Hefty Schlump. They will start to back up, but they've managed to catch Steve out on the backside. Is that really the target, though, as the tidal wave comes across? XLA is going to be taking a lot of damage. Reckless now being focused by Prathana. He pops the barrier. Going to do a lot of damage here to Prathana, who gets bubbled up, and Reckless has managed to survive it. Now they turn around onto Hefty Schlump. He gets stunned up from this one. Reckless dives in. Hefty Schlump dives out, but they're still going. That was a interesting unstoppable force from Youngbuck there, off towards the side. I think he misclicked a little from that, but either way, kills coming in left, right, and center in that fight.
That was so incredibly close right there, and Reckless starting things off by just bodying that Zyra right there. That is the other reason you can go for Blade of the Ruin King, is your dueling potential is so high, because not only can you kite away with that movement speed buff in this low, but you can prevent them from running away from you, and Tristana can be a little bit of a burst caster in the mid game by jumping on, using explosive shot, the ulti and all that. So being able to pick up the support and then jump back out with the reset allows a lot of interesting dynamics here for the team fights for Copenhagen Wolves. They got to fight a 5v4 and it worked.
Reckless now up to 7-2-0. Prathana probably going to be kicking himself about that last one. He was so close to taking down Reckless. And then Nami, that game-changing bubble coming out there, and saving his AD carry from that one. So, what comes up next here? Let's have a look at the gold. We've still pretty close here. I mean, we're almost half an hour into the game, 12-11 in kills, 4-2 in turrets to the Copenhagen Wolves, but you know, the gold is not reflecting that massively here as well, especially when you factor in that Twisted Fate passive on top of it.
Absolutely, and this game is gonna remain very, very close, because you're seeing the builds come out for Wolves are not fully offensive. It's really just about this Reckless Tristana. And thing is, it is very easy for Ryze to build a Frozen Heart, for Zac to build a Thornmail, for Shen to build a Randuin's Omen, and suddenly, what do you really kill if you're Reckless? Because right now he's going Phantom Dancer. He's not going for Last Whisper. He's 3,000 gold away from breaking apart armor. Look, the Randuin's Omen, that's done. The Frozen Heart, that should be coming next for Ryze. You know, the Age is already done. Locket of Iron Solari might show up, but armor can keep coming in here for ESC, and then Copenhagen Wolves have to be like, wait, how do we kill you again?
Gonna be tough getting into that stage of the game as the Copenhagen Wolves here stacking with 3 around the Baron. We can see that ESC aware that that's all happening as that ward got cleared out and waiting off in the wings here by that blue buff, and you don't want to let that one go, because that would be something that really separates these two teams when it comes to the gold total. Right now, only, I say only a 4,000 gold, 3,500. That's got a little bit further apart here as the Copenhagen Wolves pushed all those lanes out, and Youngbuck especially split pushing this bottom lane.
And so here comes what happens when you're winning in the mid game, is you push those lanes down. You get map control, you get the wards, you've got the oracles, another one picked up here for Unlimited, trying to strangle vision away and black out the site here from ESC. Once they sweep this ward out as well, they can kind of, and there's one right above them up towards Baron Pit, they can say, now they're able to basically bait out Barons and say, look, you've got to face check this. Use Zyra plans, use whatever you can, but it's going to be hard for you to know if we're actually doing Baron or if we're pulling your leg, but you've got to check somehow.
Can't let that one go at this stage of things, ESC. And they've played brilliantly up until now. Hefty Schlumpf with that Zac in the jungle. And a fantastic job as you see True Shot Barrage coming through. That's going to be a bit of a scouting tool. They notice, okay, Baron's not been started out with that one, so we can relax a little bit on that front.
But that's really the reality of that situation, is that you've seen them now burn over a minute-long cooldowns to check these things because they just don't know. And this could easily be the Wolves' game plan here. They've got the teleport available from YoungBuck on Malphite, so he can mirror Steve's movements around the map. And because Steve is building so much for armor, because he's got to deal with the Tristana, he actually is not the tankiest man against Malphite. YoungBuck can actually make some work on him. Unfortunately, he didn't build much really ability power or magic pen himself, but even just spamming abilities and using Sunfire Cape, you can actually make headway against Steve here. So it's not even the easiest matchup for Shen.
Reckless now got that Phantom Dancer added in there as well. And that's going to mean that if they do start Baron, it's probably not going to be lasting too long against this Copenhagen Wolves team. You can see there, 6 and Unlimited just both clearing out wards off towards the top there by that Baron area, and then relaying them in once again. But neither team really fully committed to it at this stage. You can see the bottom, Shen and Malphite pretty much butting heads as Malphite tries to push out that lane and continue the split push. Of course, the reality is that they can both get into a fight later on as well.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves, what they're thinking right now is we're ahead, and we're trying to pull you into something stupid. We can split push really easily, and there's not really a big issue there. Malphite's going to be fine. YoungBuck, don't worry about it. And they keep trying to dance around Baron, trying to pull ESC into a silly face check, into a part where someone gets caught out, someone gets assassinated. Here comes Schlumpf in, but he's a little bit surrounded.
Wow, Unlimited actually using his flash to get away from that one. Evelyn may come from the bottom side, and you're never going to be safe against a team like this. And Twisted Fate going to get straight in there on top of him. There's a Stranglethorns, but he's Zonya's through that one. Prathana at the backside needs to start doing damage here as Hefty Schlumpf will be bouncing around. YoungBuck taking a lot of damage. They go in towards Coutard, who used that Zonya's earlier on as Steve gets knocked back. Coutard will pick up that kill. YoungBuck going low. He just about walks away from that one as Hefty Schlumpf destroyed here by Reckless. Are they going to keep going for this one? They want to finish off Zac. Will end in a double kill there for Shook, and that will be a 3-for-1.
And that was an incredibly close fight. YoungBuck had no health left at the end of that one. Neither did Shook. That was nearly a 3-for-3. But Copenhagen Wolves, partially from that gold lead, managed to just squeak around, just edge out enough health. And now Prathana's in bad shape.
Oh, he is not in a good shape right now. And actually using there everything that he had to escape. The flash coming out in the end. And now Copenhagen Wolves hammering away on this inner middle turret. Malphite going to come across as well. He can tank it if those minions actually go away. As Exile does come down onto that one. YoungBuck is taking hits from the tower, but it won't last long enough.
Enough magic resist there on YoungBuck to just face tank the Rise, and that is really what happened in that fight. Is Rise had to hit a high magic resist target there. Shook and YoungBuck kind of went up there into his face. You notice the Mercury treads coming out for both of those champions, trying to get away from the crowd control, trying to tank away the magic damage. The Runic Bulwark, again, there for YoungBuck to help tank that one out, as well as the Negatron Cloak plus Chalice, that they're able to actually split up the damage onto the targets that they want. And Prathana just not doing enough damage yet, especially compared to Reckless, to break apart those, I mean, I guess they have decent armor, but compared to their magic resist, lower armor tanks.
Oh, you see there that Shurelia's Reverie now finished as well, 4-6, so you have to feel that the way that these fights have been going, that's going to be more of get away from them rather than let's get them, than just how that one's gone. We can see that he has no Oracle at this point. Unlimited does. He had to use a Paint Ward there, 6, to make sure that they could clear out that Baron. Right now, though, Copenhagen Wolves doing another Dragon.
And the damage is going to keep filling up now for Copenhagen Wolves. Once he's got these first 3 items, you're going to see more ability power come out from Coutard. The Lichbane is there, and it has a really high ability power ratio on the actual bonus damage that it gives. So if a Death Cap or a Void Staff or something like that comes out, you're going to start seeing more burst damage come out there. And again, we talked about Steve not having a lot of MR in his build. Finally added a Hex Drinker here, but the damage output from TF is starting to finally scale up now in the end game.
Yeah, we saw that Hefty Schlumpf having to really back away from that one. The entire Copenhagen Wolves team pretty much circling in on him. He's going to be having to wait around from this one, though. As Unlimited, getting a little bit closer. Hefty Schlumpf starts to charge up that elastic slingshot as we see once again True Shot Barrage coming in. They're going to go for Hefty Slump though. He's in a lot of trouble from this one. Twisted Fate going to get the stun down. Shen trying to get involved. Steve comes in just as he actually dies from that one. Stranglethorn's going down as well. Prathana is now there as well, but look at Youngbuck. He's right in the middle of them here from that backside. Double kill coming out for Reckless. Surely going to get more from this one as well. As we see XLA trying to flash away. Does manage to escape, but that's a triple kill for Reckless, and he's not done just yet. Jumps over the top. Tries to get another one, and well, they once again get ripped to pieces by the Wolves.
Absolutely well done by them. They got the catch, and you've just seen Reckless jump in so carelessly, trying to make things happen, trying to just start fights out, knowing he had enough damage to bring down Zach, even through the Shen ultimate. Shen did come through with the Stand United, tried to taunt him up, but the follow-up was not there. Reckless was far enough away. Cowtard got to pop his Zonias. You saw Shook get exploded, and that's going to happen when you have a low tankiness jungler there. But the high damage horses, those were still around. Those still got to put out damage output. Reckless was life-stealing back up throughout that entire fight. And again, Youngbuck has farmed so well, has become so tanky and hard to get rid of. Prothana and Exila still cannot get through him.
Yeah, and that's the problem that they had in that fight. You know, Youngbuck coming in from the backside of them, really being a bit of a pain. Shock pretty close to getting in towards that Zhonya's here as well, and once he's got that, it's going to make it even harder for ESC to actually break through and pick out the right targets.
So now here's what we got to see what they can do, because Baron buff's been taken. All right, a lot of global gold for these guys. The builds just keep coming through. Every person except the support on Copenhagen Wolves has more than 10,000 gold, and Reckless is 15,000. The builds are exploding right here. The Last Whisper is done as well. He's got a Giant's Belt to go towards. I mean, Warmogs maybe, or Frozen Mallet is probably more likely, fits his style where he tries to assassinate people. And so it becomes harder and harder to get rid of this guy. I'm still waiting to see Frozen Heart finally come through here for Rise. He's got the Chain Vest, so he's finally starting on it, and I think Thornmail's coming up for Steve as well. So, like, if they can actually wait and buy enough time, they can really get themselves tanky enough to deal with this, and then they can start ignoring Reckless a little bit and actually turn back and kill Youngbuck and try to do that sort of things and kind of refocus the team efforts, because they're clearly not able to dive Tristana, but they can try to ignore her and kill the rest of the team.
Okay, so sitting back here, soaking up as much farm as they possibly can. ESC, we can see that Copenhagen Wolves really starting to push out on the map. There's still that inner turret left in the top lane there for the taking, but they may be thinking that's something for a little bit later on, as Reckless will once again push this bottom wave straight through on towards the inhib turret. And are they going to go for it here? They're all pretty much grouped up. The problem is that Shook's not there. Youngbuck coming down, he of course has teleport anyway, so he could get involved if anything does happen, but why waste that cooldown when they can just hold out here? Copenhagen Wolves now bearing down onto the mid inhib turret.
And here we go! A little bit of damage on a Reckless right there. He'll lifesteal that up in about 2 attacks though. And this is really the game plan. They've got a surround now on the left-hand side turret. There's no one. I guess they're going to move over maybe in time, but a secondary turret is very hard to defend for a team that is behind. I expect them to not even stand for this very long. They don't. They do get this one for free. So Copenhagen Wolves getting all 6 of that outer and secondary ring of turrets. Here comes the difficult part, because inhibitor turrets are much harder to siege. However, they have the dive from Youngbuck and the long-range turret pressure from Reckless. They can wear this down over time.
All those wards that were put down for vision from ESC being cleared out here as well by Unlimited. Copenhagen Wolves trying to get in that one. Shen is actually pushing out that bottom lane as far as he possibly can right now. We'll see him coming back into that one, but saw the tower there losing about 1/3 of its health, and that Lich Bane plus Reckless here, just a couple of hits from them, and you're losing towers very quickly.
And that's going to keep happening here. They've got enough sustain with 2 minutes left on the Baron buff that they can, as long as they don't get caught out, they can just get a little bit of damage on the turret and then back off, and a little bit more damage and back off over and over. The engage, though, that comes in from ESC, that is because they have an Oracle, so no wards can come over the wall for Copenhagen Wolves. And Zach can sit behind that wall, charge up his E, and jump in on Twisted Fate, and start the crowd control chain and have his team follow up. But it's risky because that means they have to fight outside their turret. The alternative, though, is they lose the turret from poke.
Now we've just seen Reckless already got that turret down to half HP. The rest of ESC just starting to come around, and Copenhagen Wolves just moving back and forth between that top lane and the middle lane turret. So you can see Cowtar just trying to get the card off on towards that one, and Well, it's a big chunk of damage that's constantly coming out from Kautal. They have to keep them off these turrets.
They can't really, though, because to stop these guys from sieging their turrets, they would have to get down past the steps and try to wave clear from far away. And unlike some teams we've seen, like with Xerath, oh, that's risky.
Yeah, Hefty Schlumpf going in for this one, but the rest of the Copenhagen Wolves are there. There's a stun card going down. Schlumpf having to flash away from that one, but look at the backside. Youngbuck is there once again. Stun card's going down. Stranglethorns will knock the Wolves in the air, but Steve is going to be dying from this one, and that just opens the floodgates here for the Copenhagen Wolves. Prathana goes low. Shook getting right in on top of them as well. Prathana will die. Hefty Schlumpf will die. There is the bubble coming in on towards Rise. He will be finished off here as well as Youngbuck somehow manages to survive that one, and that's just the passives basically that are stopping this ace coming in, and it will in fact be the quadra kill as well for Reckless. The Wolves can finish it off right here possibly with 6 just hanging on to this one, but he can't stand up to Reckless.
No, not likely, and with the next minion wave coming in, this could be the push they're looking for. They've got enough lifesteal and regen, and here comes a teleport from Youngbuck as well. This is going to be game.
He's coming straight into that one. 6 down there at the back, trying his best with the Stranglethorns to really hope on to yeah, it doesn't matter either way. We're going to see the Copenhagen Wolves push through from this one, picking up those 4 kills. They will take game number 1 here, one step closer to that grand final.